I'm really happy to have Congresswoman Michelle Lujan Grisham here with us today, and she sort of threatened me, but I'm going to tell this anyway. That she and I have been working together for a number of years, starting with development of what's called the Senior Citizens, what do we call it, the legal
lawyer referral
for the elderly project. And so we're very interested in helping those New Mexico citizens that need a little extra help. And I'm so proud of the work that she's doing as a member of Congress. And we found an opportunity here, I think, to get some synergy and to work together to help keep New Mexicans in their homes. And so first I want to turn the program over to Congresswoman Lujan Grisham to make a few comments about some of the things that they're working on, and then I'm going to come back and talk to you about some specifics of our training session that's coming up and such. So,
Thank you, Attorney General. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, of course, I'm Congresswoman Lujan Grisham, and I'll just make it clear. For more than 20 years, I've been working with Gary King on a number of consumer protection programs. And in fact, 22 years ago, home ownership and home protection issues, including energy assistance issues, were paramount, not only to senior citizens, but to the more collective family. And now as a Congresswoman, I'm sad to report that every day we're getting a constituent or a family in this district or from the state reaching out because they are really struggling. And they're faced now, as you all know, with making very difficult choices because they're either underemployed or unemployed, or one member's unemployed of the family. As you know, that with the sequester, we've got 2,000 federal civilian employees who are furloughed. I fear that more unemployment and furlough issues are close at hand. So this is an incredible partnership because the Attorney General's office alone, our office alone, and anybody else that's working on protecting these families and consumers can only do so much. But if we're working together, we believe we can accomplish three things. One, we can get this information out to families who know that there's really help to stay in their house. Two, the Attorney General and I were speaking earlier, we want folks to know that before they're in default, that there are incredible programs available here and nationally to make sure that they've got every opportunity to be treated with respect and dignity in this process and be put in a position where they can afford those mortgage payments and stay in their home. And third, even for those folks who are already in a court system, they're already in foreclosure, and I'm going to leave this to the Attorney General, I'm sure he's going to talk about that we have some of the most significant foreclosure rates and home default rates in the Southwest, and that for every year, for several years, we're seeing those numbers increase, which isn't something that any of us is happy about reporting. Now, I come at this problem not only from representing the district and trying to deal with it at a federal level, but this is personal to me. My mother lives with me. Now, she needs caregiving, and I'm happy to be that caregiver. But what precipitated that relationship is that she's in a foreclosure. And she was underwater and engaged in what I believe is to be, a bit predatory in that lending effort, because I don't think that my father really had capacity to engage in a brand new mortgage when that occurred. And the only protection for folks like my father before he died and my mother 2 or 3 years ago was to do the Home Assistance Modification Program, HAMP, which is something that was initiated by Congress and this administration, President Obama. But you have to be in default. By the time my mom and dad got there, really that process was underway, and without this preservation program, there wasn't really the kind of tools or resources available to my mom. So she's in the court system. She now lives with me, and I will tell you, as we were loading her last box to move her in with me, the last vestige of her independence, I don't want it lost on consumers that this is a very tragic and very difficult emotional time for families to lose the place that you're raising your kids, that you have your memories, the last place that my mother lived with my father. And this is a program that's aimed at really providing global comprehensive protections for folks. Now I'm going to brag about our office and then turn it over to the Attorney General, that there are specific programs in Congress to help save veterans. So there's a veterans homeowners assistance modification program. And we recently were able to work with that veteran and that program to redesign that mortgage with the lending or financial institution so that that veteran and their family can stay in that home. But again, they're complicated arrangements. I should also highlight, we worked with one of the Attorney General's contractors, a consumer counseling credit program, United South Broadway Corporation, without whose help we could not put this package together. So it's making sure that the experts on the ground, like the Attorney General's office and their contractors, are available to help families stay in their homes. So here's my role before I turn it over to the Attorney General. Our office is also available. We've been invited to participate so we can help get the word out. We've got constituent and field reps who can counsel, support you. We'll be on the phone with your lending institutions. We will help identify those banks or lending institutions that need to be at the table to redo your loans. We'll go through any of these programs like the HAMP programs that are meant to be available to help folks. I sit on both the Agriculture Committee, which has got jurisdiction over USDA, which has got the Veterans Program. I also sit on the Government Oversight and Reform Committee, and I'll tell you this. If these lending institutions and other partners do not come to the table to protect the Mexicans, then in addition to working with the Attorney General to protect those individuals, I'll make sure that we have a panel or work with the Republicans to hold a hearing and make sure that they're providing information and we've got an oversight responsibility about how this moves forward. So that again, our job is to protect the Mexicans and their families. And so with that, to talk about the specifics of the program, I am really so honored to get to launch such an exciting program with the Attorney General of the state of New Mexico, Attorney General Gary King. Thank you, Gary.
So we really appreciate you all being here because it's so important for us to get this information out to New Mexico citizens. And we recognize that in tough economic times, that it's important for us in the Attorney General's office to be dedicated to helping New Mexicans stay in their homes. And one of the statistics that we've seen recently that's very distressing to us is that if you look at court records, that in a lot of foreclosure cases, that New Mexicans are not taking advantage of the help that's available to them, and they're defaulting in their mortgages. And we really want to bring that default rate way down, and we think that we have a good way to do that. A lot of this is being funded through the lawsuit that 49 attorneys general around the country brought last year against the 5 largest lending institutions in the country. And as a result of that, there was a settlement that brought real help to homeowners across the country, real help to homeowners in New Mexico. And as part of that, we got about $11 million that we are using to help pursue this, what we're calling the Home Ownership Preservation Program. And one of the best things about that's still not enough money to do everything that we need to do, so we have to have partners and friends and people who care very much about keeping New Mexicans in their homes. So the group that you see standing behind me are representative of all of the organizations that are involved in the Homeownership Preservation Program, and I want to mention them specifically here. But we have New Mexico Legal Aid. People, raise your hands for your organizations. The Senior Citizen Law Office, DNA People's Legal Services, United South Broadway Corporation, who you heard a little bit about, that Michelle said a little bit about, Springboard, Cafe, primarily in southern New Mexico, I think, yes. So all over the state, Tierra del Sol, and Independent Living Resources are all organizations that are part of our project. And one of the things that we're doing is they're all helping to do a program in Santa Fe this week. And one of the things we really want you all to help us get information out on is that on May the 17th and 18th, we're going to have a project, in this case in Santa Fe, at the Santa Fe University of Art and Design. That's on 1600 St. Michael's Drive. A program where people can come and get one-on-one help. So if there are people that are sitting in their homes right now and they're underwater, they are under stress, they haven't been able to make a payment in a while, they don't have to be in foreclosure, although certainly if you are in foreclosure, we want you to come and have an opportunity for one-on-one discussions with a HUD-certified housing counselor, and most of these organizations have HUD-certified housing counselors that work with their organizations. We think that there will be enough people that will take a little time, so at the same time we're sponsoring a little training institute. So we're going to have training on how to avoid housing scams, on how to Ken has to bring me up on everything else that we're going to be doing on actually I think I have the information here.
Yes, and in addition, some of the classes will be so where an attorney can kind of explain the foreclosure process to homeowners, so they know what the timelines are, they know what to expect. They'll also be able to meet with housing counselors and find out what all their options are. And some of the banks will also be participating. So a homeowner may have an opportunity to meet with those banks one-on-one and find out if there's some alternative to foreclosure and a way to get back on track.
Good. And financial literacy. We'll be having some classes in financial literacy. So we think that all of these things are going to be helpful to people, but that's not all of the program. The HPP is a 3-year program. We're just getting it started very well, and I think this is one of our biggest events. But we intend to have these kind of training sessions around the state. I do want to thank Ken Owens, who's the head of the program in our office, and Karen Myers, who's the head of my consumer division here in the AG's office. They have put in hundreds of hours of work in developing the program. But here's other things that are available in the program, and I do want to mention those. There's a toll-free number, and I think that somewhere the number is on one of these. And so you might want to get a little close of it. But there's a toll-free number for New Mexico homeowners who are struggling with foreclosure, and that's 1-855-664-6630. There is a website where people can go to get information both on this course that's coming up and future opportunities. Great name. It's called www.keepyourhomenewmexico.org. There are, as I've mentioned, the housing counseling services, and they're available, I think, throughout the year from your organization. So this one event is not the only place where you can get HUD certified housing counseling. These organizations are working all of the time to help keep people in their homes. There is some opportunity for legal service attorneys if you meet certain qualifications, and you can find out about that from the counselors. You may be able to get legal help to help you in your foreclosure action. We certainly are doing community outreach, which is this is part of that. We actually are working with the Administrative Office of the Courts to develop a pilot mediation program, which these kinds of programs have been successful in some other states, but where people can get in a mediation and work with their bank to work out things to keep them in their homes, because frankly it's in everybody's best interest to keep people in their homes. It's in the lender's best interest, it's in the state's best interest, it's in the community's best interest, because we know that when there's foreclosures in neighborhoods, that impacts the property values in all the neighborhoods. And so we think that this is a great program for New Mexico. We do want to make sure that people understand that there are potentially mortgage rescue scams out there whenever there's a project like this that helps people around the country. Whenever we have this settlement, we in the AG's office have already found certain scams where people have advertised, we can keep you in your house, all you got to do is give us $1,000 up front, or some money up front. And we want to make sure that people understand that all of these programs that we're talking about here are without cost to the consumers, to the people that are trying to stay in their houses, that it is actually against New Mexico law to get money up front to rescue a mortgage. There may be services, legal services, as you go through court that will cost you money, but you never want to send somebody that you don't know who solicits you money up front. So we'll be having some training on those scams to make sure that people are wise about those. So once again, I want to thank everybody that's standing here behind me, because this is a group that will certainly help to keep New Mexicans in their homes. And that's our number one goal, is to keep New Mexicans in their homes in these trying fiscal times. And we believe that as a group, that if you help us get the information out there, that we can keep a lot of people in their homes. So that being said, I think that the Congresswoman and I certainly are willing to stand for questions. I'm sure that all of these folks are, and are willing to talk to you individually as well about what their programs are. But did I leave anything out? Everybody good? Okay. Thank you. I want to say thanks to all of you guys.
Years ago.
They
are awesome.
Some new phases, but it's an awesome team.
Same organization.
I agree with that. So they care a lot about their communities and doing great work for their communities. So.